It's totally full of books!
Well, it's a library.
There's so many. I don't know where to look.
All right, if we want to get through that door out there, we need the Neptune key. I say we split up and look for it.
Okay.
Very well. Sure thing.
Good. Let's get started then. We don't have a lot of time. Hurry.
Ellis sleeps in a small chamber past the forest of knowledge. As he began his search for reasons he didn't fully understand, Junpei felt those particular words flow through his mind. Okay, toll. Danke. Dann schauen wir mal. Erstmal, there's a note on that table. Lights to the books. Huh, what does that mean? Interesting. Well, intelligence often hides itself in darkness. Have you ever thought about the pages of a book? Each page only sees, what, maybe 2 or 3 minutes of light before the reader is on to the next. They spend the rest of their lives locked in darkness. Rather like myself. That's horrible. Oh, don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining, not at all. I live in the darkness, yes. But that has gifted me with the ability to catch the truth others might miss. I can hear the voices hidden in the darkness, you might say. It says light to the... Achso, genau. Jetzt muss ich erstmal bestimmte Bücher finden. Kitab al-Latif. Man, they've got some weird stuff here. I can't even pronounce this one. Who's that? Some famous guy? It's not a person's name. It's the name of a fictional book created by Abdul al-Hazred. Ah, Alex? It's said to be one of the books, the sources used in the creation of the legendary Book of the Dead, the Necronomicon. Oh, so these are all occult books and stuff. This one says the golden rabbit and the moon on it. Does that mean it's about a rabbit that lives on the moon? Rabbits are pretty cute, but what's the moon stuff about? It's talking about the Judas tree that is said to grow on the moon according to Chinese legend. Teletemperation and telepathy. What the hell is this one about? Well, I know what telepathy is, but I've never heard of teletemperation. It refers to having the ability to travel through time. This book is called a mind swap. You mean you could, like, change bodies with someone? Well, I guess I wouldn't mind switching bodies with my brother at Junpei too much, but I'd rather die than let Seven switch with me. What the hell? Like, I'd even want to swap bodies with a little brat like... Hey, were you just imagining it? You were. Shut up. Yeah, well, he wasn't the only one. Oh dear. Energy theory, huh? I don't even understand the damn title. Looks like the shelves all science and technology. Oh. What's the deal with these titles? They're all just gibberish. Hey, what if we, like, switch them around? Switch them around? Yeah. We move them around, maybe they'll spell something. Oh, I get it. Yeah, it's worth a shot. Ich seh's schon. Open here, find bulb. How about this? Looks like putting those books in the right order opened this thing right up. Huh, that was a piece of cake. Hooray! You did it, Junpei. I guess that turned out well enough. So the letters from the title spell out, open here, find bulb. And there's a bulb. Powerful light bulb. Okay. Property values going up out in space too these days. Man, I guess times are tough for aliens too. This one says cosmic inflation. Oh. Quantum gravity. Seven, do you have any idea what this is? How about you start by using rewards? Then maybe we'll get somewhere. Supersymmetric string theory and 10-dimensional spacetime. They're just talking about superstring theory. It's a theory of reality where, how to explain. It says that all elements of the universe are governed by the vibrations and harmonics of tiny supersymmetric strings. What's this? An overview of conformal field theory? Oh well, it's a theory that posits an invariant quantum field where conformal transformation can take what? Knock it off with this science voodoo stuff. You're trying to put me to sleep. How to explain for you peasants. Theory of general relativity. Oh, I know this one. That's Einstein, right? Okay. Eigentlich suche ich die ganze Zeit was. Automated Robotic Assembly Line Techniques. What's that? Some sort of comic book? Jeez, I guess boys really like that stuff, huh? No, you're thinking of a different sort of robot. This book is talking about automated machinery that's used to build things like cars. Communication and computer science. That's a pretty generic title, to be honest. It's so vague I don't really know what it might be about. Overview of photochemistry. I think whoever set this up wanted us to see the cover, not the spine. Let's look at it, okay? Looks like there's a whole lot of space behind these books. Look, Junpei, I think there's something hidden behind the books. Und noch eine. What's that one called? It says Foundations of DNA and Genetic Engineering. Okay, ich glaube, das waren hier alle. Aha. Oh, da muss ich ja hier den Überblick behalten, wo ich schon war. Ich sollte das ein bisschen systematisch angehen. Principles of Monkey Behavior. Huh. I'd imagine that's a book describing praxeology to studies on monkeys. Monkeys are very similar to humans evolutionarily, so I imagine the research was fruitful. Functions of the human brain, huh? I guess this is a book about the nervous system. I'd love to ask you to read it to me, but I don't think we have the time. I'm kinda curious about it too. There's gotta be a reason why people connect with each other, you know? This section atlas, huh? This whole shelf is full of medical books. Look, this one's called Recreation of Lost Human Functions. You think they're talking about if you, like, lose part of your body, then you could grow it back? I don't think so. Maybe they're talking about reconstructing abilities that humankind once possessed? In other words, they may be talking about cultivating a sixth sense. What's a picture book like that doing here? It looks like it's about Little League. It does seem a little weird that it's so different from the others, huh? Maybe you ought to take it with you. Genau, danach habe ich gesucht. There's a baseball on this one. Come on, Junpei, let's see what's in it. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say it's probably baseball. Whoa! Okay, apparently not. Oh look, Seven, here's a book that's perfect for you. It's called Correlation of Muscle Bone Density and Bone Strength. You just said that because it says muscle. This book is just called Dissection. This bookshelf must be all medical books. From what I can tell, it sounds as though these books have been organized by genre. This library must be massive. I'm rather impressed by how well organized it is. Human equilibrium theory. Human anatomy. Regeneration of internal organs. Ancient gladiators. What's this book doing here? Maybe they were researching human physical limits across history. Okay, das war glaube ich hier, oder? Ja. Da war ich auch. Dann hier. Das ist Mindswap. Achso, da war ich schon. Muss ein bisschen gucken, dass ich... Why do mankind lose their tails? Junpei, do you know what this one's about? Why are you asking me? I didn't even know we had tails to lose. Maybe you should ask a human with a tail. Mankind's ancestors most likely lost their tails if they were no longer useful and the nutrients required to grow them were better put to use elsewhere. At least that's what I read. I was rather young. I may have remembered it incorrectly. Huh? Well, that would a kid be reading a book like that? Micrographia, huh? Oh yes, Robert Hooke's famous work, first published in 1665. He built a microscope and examined insects or inorganic substances and other things too small to be seen in detail by human eyes. He then drew pictures of many of the things he'd examined and published them in a book. I'd hazard a guess this shelf is concerned with natural sciences. Really? Creatures of the South Seas. I wonder if this one's got pictures of colorful fish and stuff. Introduction to geology, huh? Thinking about the Earth, even when you're on the ocean, kinda romantic in a way, I guess. This one says transition of extinct species. We need to hurry it up or we're going to end up in the pages of a book like that. Huh. The theory of evolution, heck, even I know this one. This is the Darwin guy, right? Well, yes and a no. Charles Darwin wrote a book called On the Origin of the Species. In it he put forth his theory of evolution. Yeah, I remember that part. He called it natural selection. Exactly. Mother Nature. Is that some sort of book about hippie chicks? Probably not, except perhaps tangentially. It's most likely about environment protection. I was just trying to make a joke. Dude, hippie chicks, really? Theories of the Cambrian explosion. Did a bomb go off near somewhere called Cambria? Wrong kind of explosion. Roughly 500 million years ago, during what is known as the Cambrian period, research suggests that the variety of living organisms increased by an order of magnitude. Why that happened is, however, still something of a mystery. There are a number of theories. This book is most likely a collection of them. This book's called Introduction to... Okay, dann habe ich hier auch alles, oder? Also hier war jetzt aber nichts dabei. Oh, Paleontology. This one's some fossils. Oh, that's a pretty nasty looking. Mother Nature. Okay. War das jetzt hier unten? Ja. Was habe ich denn hier noch übersehen? Occult Stuff, Mindswap, da. Ach, ich muss wahrscheinlich jetzt auch noch mal runtergehen. Energy, das hatte ich auch. Mal runter. Algebraic Number Theory, Math, huh? There's another one like that over here. You mean something like primary number theory or analytical number theory or geometry? Oh my gosh, how did you know? Nobody said anything about those. natural number theory is usually split into 4 chief disciplines. If there was a book named aRdW number theory, I took a wild guess that the other 3 would be there as well. Looks like I was right. The Pythagorean theorem, this is a famous one. Sounds like there are a number of math books in this section. This one's Goldbach's conjecture. Conjecture? What's it about? Like magic or psychic stuff or something? Right, I bet it's about jewelry, isn't it? It may have an old title, but it's actually a very respectable mathematics book. It deals with one of the unsolved problems of additive number theory. Oh, sorry I said anything. Look, let's not get into this right now, okay? That's a weird book, Jimpy. Indian mathematics? That's funny. Why is that funny? There's Riemann hypothesis. What is there to hypothesize about with a Riemann? Isn't it pretty straightforward? Oh, heavens no, there are many factors. Length, girth, look at what? It's an exciting and rapidly growing field. What? Ja, wow. Das muss ja doch noch irgendwo... That kind, what the hell is this? Wasn't that a German mathematician? Maybe it's a compilation of his work. Owen, huh? Owen isn't enough to go on. Perhaps it's about the English Revolutionary. Sheldrake. Sheldrake? Isn't Sheldrake... Leibniz? This book is in German. It looks like it's the complete works of something. Wahrscheinlich Leibniz. I've never heard of it. Well, if Snake doesn't know what it is, I don't think we'll ever know. Wo sind denn jetzt noch diese anderen Dinge? What's this? Origin of Japanese folklore? Looks like there are a bunch of books about Japanese culture here. Mostly ones about folklore, though. Well, folklore can cover a wide range of subjects. History, urban life, religious trends, environmental changes, oral traditions. Folklore can cover all those things if you know where to look. This looks pretty deep. Modern Japanese literature, huh? Oh, there's another one of those picture books here. Ah, endlich. Something about these things feels kinda nice, you know. Brings back good memories. I guess even people like Seven were kids once. No shit, you little brat. Hey guys, cool it. Alright, I think I'm gonna take this picture book with me. Magic wand on it. Okay, so what's inside? Well, are you going to open it? Pretty sure it's just gonna have pages inside. Oh! Okay. Agriculture and historical organizations and folklore. Let's see what we've got here. So many books here. I wonder what this was. What's this? Worm? Oh, sorry. No, I'm sorry. What's to do with this cyber stuff? Okay. Moment, ich war doch da unten noch nicht fertig. This bookshelf has sort of glass inlay. It's very big, but there's only 6 books on it. That seems kind of weird. 6, 3, 2, 4, 1, 5. Hey, it looks like there's something on the bottom. I can't really see it though, the glass is all foggy. 6, 3, 2, 4, 1, 5. Das nicht eingeben? What the hell is this? Might as well. 6, 3, 2, 4, 1, 5. Aha! You did it, Jimpy! Yay! I don't know why, but I don't really feel particularly happy about being praised for that. Whatever, at least the lock's open now. Let's see if we can get it open, alright? Okay. Aha. Jetzt haben wir 3. Jetzt fehlt nur noch das eine Buch. Books here in all sorts of language, can't read them. Hab ich irgendwas übersehen? Bunch of... Alright, ich kann schon mal die Bulbs hier rein tun. So. It's pretty bright in here now. Das kann ich wahrscheinlich auch schon mal... Jimpy, you think maybe you're supposed to put these power books on the stands? Yeah. Oh yeah, if we do that, then they make a shadow in the bottom there. True, but there are 3 stands. We don't have enough picture books. In other words, we need 3 picture books. Okay, da muss ich jetzt nochmal schauen. Wo habe ich eins verpasst? Da nicht. Da auch nicht. Wenn ich hier hindrehe. Da nicht, da nicht. Da auch nicht. Da nicht. Da unten war nix. Da ist auch nichts. Da nicht. Da muss ich nochmal nach oben gehen. Schätze ich. Oh, hier war ich noch nicht. I don't think you're gonna find a guy that didn't really exist. Ooh, it's another one of those. Aha, geht doch. Search. This one has some Native Americans on the cover. Hey Jimbei, take a look at this one. Native Americans, oh, maybe it's got some... Wie überraschend. Da hat ja jetzt keiner mehr mit gerechnet, was? Gut, geht doch. Small closer, yep. Sheldrake 5. Awesome, it looks like it worked. Way to go, Jimbei. Good job, buddy. There's something projecting on the bottom. These letters, they seem familiar. Sheldrake 5. Vielleicht erinnert ihr euch auch noch, Sheldrake war derjenige, der die Morphogenetic Field Theory geschrieben hat. Den gibt's wirklich, Rupert Sheldrake. It says Sheldrake on the spine of this book. It's got the volume number written on the lower part of the spine. 5. Ja, was denn? Muss ich jetzt nochmal untersuchen, oder wie? Ah.
Sheldrake 5?
I think I saw the rest of this collection somewhere.
Ja,
Yeah,
da wo ich
I think
gerade
it was
geguckt
somewhere
habe.
around here.
Let's go take a look.
Okay.
Sheldrake.
Have you heard of him? Sheldrake, I mean.
Yeah, Lotus told me about him.
There's a British biochemist named Sheldrake. He has a rather interesting theory, morphogenetic fields, which relies on the theory of morphic resonance.
Really? From Lotus, huh?
Well, Clover also said something to me about that stuff.
She did?
Yeah, what was it?
The ability to access a morphogenetic field is affected by a couple of things. The first is epiphany, and the other is danger.
That girl. I told her not to tell anyone.
You did?
Well...
Look, man, I didn't push it because we're in a hurry, but I'm kind of sick of this. How about you just tell me, okay?
Tell you what?
Don't give me that. About the experiment.
Ugh. Very well, fine. I'll tell you everything. But not here. Let's move to the top floor. I suppose I might as well start by telling you why I kept quiet, and why I made sure Clover did as well. To be honest, the explanation is quite simple. Zero told me not to. I had little choice. He didn't walk up and tell me, of course. He gave me a message engraved on a card.
That's a Braille card. It looks just like the one you showed us earlier.
Wahrscheinlich ist es auch genau die, er hat nur nicht alles vorgelesen.
So you had 2 cards?
No, only one.
Huh? What do you mean? I thought that card just had some rules for the nonary game on it.
Yes, it did. And those were the rules I read you. However, they were not the only thing on the card. There was something I didn't read. Well, perhaps I should say, there was something I couldn't read.
And that was?
Tell no one of the events that took place 9 years ago. Tell, and I activate your sister's detonator. It's a threat on our lives.
Oh. Well, what about Clover? Did she get a message from Zero too?
I don't believe she did. But doesn't it strike you as strange that Zero would shut my mouth, but not hers?
Yeah.
To be on the safe side, however, I told her it was best not to tell anyone. Still, apparently she told you. That girl.
What's wrong with her telling me? I figured some stuff out with the things she told me. I mean, it looks like the whole activate her detonator thing was just a bluff. She's prancing around downstairs happy as a clam now that you're back.
That's very true. I've decided I can trust you.
Ooh, yeah.
I've decided to tell you the truth. The chance that Santa is Zero is very high. I feel I can assume Santa doesn't have the time to observe us at the moment. And at any rate, even if he were, I very much doubt he would kill us.
Why?
Clover told me about the 4-leaf clover, about the words. If he knew about that, then he was in my group during the first experiment. I'm sure of it. He wouldn't kill us, no matter what the situation was.
Hey, Snake?
Yes, I know. You want to know what happened during the experiment?
Yes,
Yeah.
How much do you know?
Clover told me about...
and that's it.
I see. The morphogenetic field in the experiments 9 years prior. How the experiments had taken place simultaneously at 2 locations, one being the ship and the other being a building in Nevada. And the girl that died during the experiment. She told you all that, did she? At any rate, I now know how much you've learned. All that remains for us to determine
is who did this and why, right?
yes.
Can you tell me what happened?
Yes. The people who organized the initial experiment were from a company called Cradle Pharmaceuticals. There were 4 of them running the show. Gentaro Hongo, Nagisa Nijisaki, Teruaki Kubota, Kagechika Musashido. Hongo was the CEO of Cradle Pharmaceuticals. Nijisaki was his right-hand man and did the lion's share of the planning. Kubota led the company's research and development division. Musashido was their majority stockholder. It was these 4 people who planned the initial experiment. Let me simplify it for you. Hongo designed it, and Nijisaki put it all together. Kubota developed the technology required, and Musashido provided the cash.
So it's Hongo, Nijisaki, Kubota, Musashido.
Of course, more than 4 people were required to conduct an experiment of this scale. To that end, they organized a top-secret team to assist them with their research. All in all, they gathered 10 people or so. Those 10 completed their team, and they were able to begin the project. They named it the Nonori Project. The purpose of the experiment was to research the prospect of controlling a human mind through sheer will. The vessel, I suppose you could say, for this control was the morphogenetic field. Why did the glycerin suddenly begin to crystallize? Why did the crystal structure of EDT undergo a sudden change? Why did the rats improve their puzzle-solving skills with each generation? Experiments with humans produce the same results. The more people who knew the answer to a question, the more there were who could answer correctly without having seen the problem before. Why is that? How could it happen? The answer is that the shape of the answer has been stored in a field invisible to the naked eye. And through that field, the resonant event transmits information related to that answer. That's essentially the idea behind morphogenetic fields.
But that's just a theory.
Can't bring yourself to believe it?
Yeah.
Let's say someone killed another person because the devil told them to do it. Whether the devil exists or not has no relevance to the murder. They believe the devil exists. Whether or not he does is immaterial.
So what matters here is that Hongo believed in the morphogenetic field.
That's right.
But I still don't get it. You said they wanted to figure out how to control people, right? That is what you were saying.
Yes.
So how are they going to do that with a morphogenetic field?
I'll keep it simple. Let's suppose 10,000 people have solved a certain problem. The chance of you knowing that answer, even if no one has told you, will go up. Let's have another example, shall we? Say 1 million people were to do a handstand right now. Tomorrow, the chances of you doing a handstand would be higher, even if you had heard nothing of this hypothetical mass handstanding. Mankind's thought process and actions are all part of a resonant event. All of the resonant events encoded in the fields are projected onto you. Of course, this assumes you believe in this theory. Do you follow so far?
Yeah.
Now, if there was a person who had the same effect as those millions of people, what would happen? If that one person were to do a handstand, other people would find themselves wanting to do handstands as well. Can you imagine what a person with powers like that would be able to do?
Come on, there's no way.
I'm not done. Imagine another scenario. Imagine another person. This is an ordinary person. Let's say he does a handstand. What if there was someone who could grab the resonant event he created by doing that and use it to make other people do handstands? What would happen then? A person who has the power to write to the field and someone who can read from the same. You could think of them as the writer and the reader, or the transmitter and the receiver. What would the world be like if there were people with abilities like these?
So the transmitter's resonant event can be transmitted through the field and sent to the receiver. And then the transmitter can control the receiver however they wish. That's what you're saying, right?
Yes. Close enough, at least.
Come on, that's just crazy.
Well, if you want to prove that, then you'll have to test it first. At least, that was how they thought. That was why they decided to do their experiment. That was how the Nonori Project began. By the way, Junpei, have you ever heard of the Ganzfeld experiment?
Yeah, that was an experiment in telepathy, right? You place a pair of subjects in separate rooms. Then you show one a picture and ask the other what they see.
Interesting. I'm impressed. Yes, that is exactly correct.
So, why did you bring up the Ganzfeld experiment?
It was used to screen subjects for the Nonori Project. The hospital in a remote town was affiliated with Cradle Pharmaceuticals. Hongo used it to conduct experiments on visiting children in secret. Some of them, he found, had potential. He began to gather children that showed promise. Children that seemed as though they might be able to access the field. Of course, none of them volunteered. They were kidnapped. There were 9 pairs of siblings taken, for 18 children total. For reasons that were not fully understood at the time, each pair had 1 transmitter and 1 receiver. They were split perfectly. As such, the 18 children were split into 2 groups of 9.
Aha. Verstehe.
The children who were put into Group Q were the ones who excelled at transmitting. They were transferred to the mock experiment building known as Building Q in the Nevada desert. The children who excelled at receiving were put in Group A. Group A was then placed on the former hospital ship Gigantic. From the experiments he had conducted so far, Hongo had learned the following. There are 2 things that can increase one's resonance with the fields. The first is epiphany. The other is danger. Have you ever been faced with an especially difficult problem and thought about it very long and very hard until finally an answer suddenly appeared in your mind? It may seem obvious to say so, but that is what is meant by epiphany. The information obtained through that epiphany can be easily transmitted through the fields, where it can be easily interpreted. Adding danger to that equation allows for even easier field access. That's where Hongo came in. They set up a number of puzzles across the Gigantic. The participants had to solve each one before they could move to the next room. Of course, he hadn't forgotten to include danger. He had detonated a bomb on the hull of the Gigantic. The children in Group A were forced to play the nonary game as the ship sunk. By forcing the children into a life-or-death situation, Hongo hoped to increase the likelihood of their tapping into the fields. The children from Group Q, on the other hand, were confined to the mock experiment building, Building Q. Building Q duplicated the interior and puzzles of the Gigantic exactly. Every detail was exactly the same. Hongo explained the situation to the children in Group Q. Solve the puzzles you find throughout the rooms. When you have the answers, transmit that information to the children in Group A. If you succeed, they will be able to solve the puzzles and escape. But if you fail, then the Gigantic will sink, and your brothers and sisters will drown.
Well, isn't that nice?
Those were his orders. Do you know why the astronauts of Apollo 13 were able to return to Earth safely?
Actually, yes.
It was because NASA had access to a replica of the Apollo 13 capsule. All of the equipment, the instruments, everything. All of it identical. Everything was just like the real Apollo 13. NASA was able to replicate the situation the astronauts found themselves in. By putting themselves in the same situation, they attempted to solve the problems the astronauts were dealing with. Once they found solutions, they reported their findings to the men aboard the actual capsule. That was how they were able to return safely. It was the same with the Gigantic in Building Q.
Ja. Guter Vergleich.
The children from Group Q had to use the power of epiphany to solve the puzzles they found and transmit what they learned through the fields. The children in Group A, however, they had to access the fields to learn how they might advance to the next stage. That is the simplest explanation I can manage.
Hey, Junpei, Snake! How much longer are you 2 gonna sit around on those bony asses? Get down here already!
He's right. Let's go, shall we? We don't have much time. We need to get out of here and soon.
Hold it. There's one more thing I want to ask you. Are you sure that there were 18 kids?
Why?
Well, I thought it was only 16.
Oh, yes.
Stimmt.
That was what they said on the news,
Es gab doch
wasn't it?
diesen Zeitungsartikel, wo es hieß, 16 Kinder einführt.
Yes. I have no doubt that 18 children were abducted and used in Hongo's experiment. After all, you couldn't exactly play a nonary game with any less, could you?
Stimmt.
Well, yeah, but are you saying that the news got it wrong?
Yes, I am. There were 2 more children. However, they had no relatives that I'm aware of. I imagine no one filed a police report when they went missing.
Deswegen die 16.
They were brother and sister, like Clover and I. The brother's name was Aoi. The sister's name was... Her name was Akane.